The NFL draft has concluded, so it's time for a tier list. Every quarterback situation in the NFL. You know, I'm not exactly an expert, neither are you. A lot of content creators claim to be experts, but I'm probably the best you're gonna get. I'm the AI algorithm. I'm the guy if you're looking for a tier list, I'm the guy. Let's get right into it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Toss the Mic YouTube channel. Today we're trying something a little bit different. We're going to be ranking every team's quarterback situation. Now, I know this isn't the normal story, sort of sports video that I do, but hey, it's post-draft. Let's get into some QB rankings, and without further ado, let's start it off with the Arizona Cardinals, and I'd say they have a good quarterback situation. Kyler Murray could easily be their franchise quarterback, and there we go. All right, so they don't have a lot of depth there. If Kyler gets hurt again, they will probably win 4 games again. So Kyler Murray, if he busts, then the Arizona Cardinals are screwed. They're in the horrible tier, and there's a really good chance that they could have a franchise quarterback on their hands. So Kyler Murray, it's a make-or-break year for you. The Falcons, they took Michael Penix in the draft this year, but they got Kirk Cousins. So I'm going to give them a good tier. That's depth. They have Michael Penix. They'll be set at quarterback at least for the next, 5 years, because if Kirk Cousins wants to leave, you'll have Michael Penix in the Hollister. Same thing if Kirk Cousins gets hurt. So obviously you sign Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $100 million deal. Sure, that's not ideal for the cap situation or surrounding him with weapons, but that doesn't change the fact that, Atlanta has a good quarterback situation. I mean, wouldn't have expected that before the season and after the Desmond Ridder shenanigans they had going on, but hey, the Falcons have a decent quarterback situation. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, obviously, they have a franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson. They don't have a lot of depth under him. They've lost Tyler Huntley. So if he gets hurt, they could be screwed. They've had problems with that in the past with him getting hurt. But obviously, if you have a guy like Lamar, you're going to be in the franchise quarterback tier. Same thing with Buffalo. They have a top 5 quarterback. End of story. And they always sign somebody good to be their backup. They have Mitchell Trubisky now. They've had Case Keenum, they've had others. So Buffalo, ever since they took Josh Allen, they've been solid at quarterback. No more Nathan Peterman sort of stuff. So the Panthers, I'm going to give them I can't be mean to Bryce Young, but they're pretty close to being bad but have some potential. But I'm going to give Bryce Young some props here. I'll give him the mid category. Obviously, Bryce Young wasn't surrounded with a lot of weapons, but Justin Fields wasn't surrounded by a lot of weapons, and he had a lot of time to show off what he had. So I'm not going to give Bryce Young that same amount of, pleasure to that, but it's only been 1 year. I'll give him a pass for just 1 year. This is a make or break year for Bryce Young as well, similar to Kyler Murray. If you don't do good this year, they're going to pull a Josh Rosen on you. So I'll give them a mid. Carolina has a mid situation. For the Bears, I'm going to say that they have a good quarterback situation. They just took the best quarterback in the draft, and they're probably locked into a quarterback for another 4 years. So, it's still Chicago. They've never had stability at the quarterback situation, and I'm not saying they do. But, they have Caleb Williams, and that's a Trevor Lawrence. That's an Andrew Luck type of prospect in the draft. The Bengals, there's not really a debate here. They have Joe Burrow. The injuries are an issue. So, and they have Jake Browning behind them, so they proved that they do have depth at that quarterback's position. The Browns, they have depth, but I'll put them at mid because they have a lot of good quarterbacks, but their best one is bad, but has some potential. So they're pretty dang close to being the bad with some potential, but I'll give them mid because of the depth that they have with Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley, and even Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's looking at being cut, even though he's a pretty solid backup. Dallas, good. They have depth, but if Dak's the best you got, I don't know how that's going to look in the future. The stats may say one story, but his playoff performances are another. So let's move on to the Broncos. I think they have a bad but with some potential quarterback situation. I made a video a couple weeks back that they do have a bad and a horrible quarterback situation, but with Bo Nix, there is an ounce of potential in there. So taking him that high at 12, I'll never be a fan of taking the 6th best quarterback at 12. And with having such a bad quarterback situation, they decided to reach. So props to you guys. Detroit, they don't have a franchise quarterback. They have Jared Goff. But Jared Goff is enough to get you to the NFC Championship game. he's pretty darn good. So I'm going to put them in good tier. The Green Bay Packers, they have a really good quarterback, but I'm not going to be sold on him being a franchise quarterback until I see at least 2 good years of production out of him. I know he's been there for a while, and he just threw 30 touchdowns in his first season as a pro. But, you got to at least have 2 years under your belt to be a good franchise quarterback. And the Texans, same situation. Texans and Packers are very similar, except C.J. Stroud is a rookie. Pretty much the only difference. These teams know how to draft. These teams know how to surround their team with good players, and they definitely got their really good quarterbacks. For the Colts, mid. I mean, Anthony Richardson has potential, but hey, he got injured 4 games in. Don't know if that's a sign for what's to come in the future, but hey, they got potential, and he didn't really perform enough to the point where I could say they have a good quarterback. For the Jags, mid. It's Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's had his moments, so I'll put him in good. But you're flirting with mid. Jags fans, your quarterback is flirting with mid because he's playing at the same along the lines of Daniel Jones. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be that kind of Daniel Jones. Spoiler alert to the Giants. So Kansas City, there's not really much to talk about. They got Patrick Mahomes. The Raiders, horrible. We got AOC, and AOC is AOC. I mean, come on. And they signed Gardner Minshew. He's a pretty good backup. I'd put him along the lines of a Mitchell Trubisky kind of guy. He's not a starting quarterback. Devontae Adams, you're probably mad that you left Jordan Love up here in the really good tier. The Raiders have a horrible quarterback situation, maybe the worst in the league. I mean, I think they were hoping that Michael Penix was going to follow them, but instead the Falcons decided to reach into the heavens. So let's take a look at the Chargers. I'm a big Justin Herbert guy, but he's flirting with really good. He's a franchise quarterback. Nothing more to say about that. I don't know if Jim Harbaugh is going to ruin that by surrounding him with a run-heavy offense, the Greg Roman sort of heavy linemen, running backs, Michigan football type of team. I don't know if Justin Herbert's that type of quarterback. So we'll see how that turns out. They could be here at the end of next season, but for now, they got themselves a franchise quarterback. For LA, good. Matthew Stafford's getting old. He's not going to be here for the next 3 years, I'll tell you that. And they got some depth behind them, so I'll give them good, flirting with really good. And then for the Miami Dolphins, good. Tua's flirting with mid. I'll tell you right now, Tua is flirting with mid. He's putting up the numbers to be in the good tier, and the Dolphins are getting to the playoffs, but hey, you can't be losing in the wild card round back-to-back years like that and getting injured and putting Skylar Thompson out there. Tua's got to play more. He's got to win more games. Simple as that. The stats are there, which is why they're in the good. And Miami's got some really good receivers around him, so it's not like it's just him that's putting up these performances. So we'll see how it goes in the future with them. They're nowhere near the franchise quarterback tier, I'll tell you right now. Minnesota, bad with some potential. I mean, Sam Darnold, no depth behind J.J. McCarthy. They're probably going to end up starting Sam Darnold. So they're in a horrible situation, but with a little bit of potential from J.J. McCarthy being taken 10 overall. Pats, I'll give them the same thing. They got Drake May, but, I'll put them in mid because they got some depth around him. They got Jacoby Brissett, so he'll have some time to sit. Drake May's potential is a Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, so I'll put him in mid. They look pretty good at the quarterback's position for the future. So for the Saints, horrible. No, can't do that. I'll put him in the bad because Derek Carr is just not what he used to be. I mean, I see what the Saints are doing. They're surrounding him with offensive linemen. They got him a decent receiver, so maybe they'll just give him one more year, and that's how it's going to be. I don't know what they got behind him. Taysom Hill and Spencer Rattler, not a lot of depth. I'll tell you that right now. Maybe they'll get some snaps off because of the Taysom Hill packages, but that's about it. Saints, you're in cap hell, and it's going to stay that way. New York Giants. You passed on J.J. McCarthy, so you're betting on DJ. And I think he's mid. That's simple as that. I mean, he took him to the playoffs one year. The statistics were not that good in that year, but hey, his rookie year is probably the best sign of what he could have been numbers-wise. And the playoffs, I mean, the one wild card game against Minnesota, I mean, I was like, yo, where'd this DJ come from? But hey, you got a mid-quarterback, and it's a mid-quarterback situation. Hopefully Malik Neighbors can elevate that. He's got a little bit of potential being a number 6 overall pick himself. So we'll see how the Giants turn out. I mean, I think we all know how it's going to go. But hey, let's give DJ a chance with a guy like Malik Neighbors. Jets. Good. You got Aaron Rodgers, and you just drafted the guy out of Florida State. They got Jordan Travis, so that's some good depth, and they drafted for the future a little bit there because Jordan Travis would have been a first-round pick if he didn't get hurt. So Jets, I really like what you're doing, drafting Jordan Travis, putting him behind Aaron Rodgers, and giving him some offensive line help. So I'll put you in good for that. Still got to see Aaron Rodgers throw more than 3 passes for the Jets. For the Eagles, really good. Jalen Hurts had himself a couple good years, got himself a max extension, but last year was not very good. Well, not very good for a franchise quarterback standards. He's easily a franchise. I would have said he's a franchise quarterback back last year, but he regressed quite a bit. Steelers, you got some depth. You got Russell Wilson. You got Justin Fields. That's going to put you in the good category. But hey, you don't got one guy that's set for the future. You got some potential in both these guys, in Russell and Justin Fields. And I have a feeling Russell's probably going to get benched at some point. So you'll probably get a taste of both quarterbacks, unless you know Justin Fields returns a kick, in which he will probably get hurt. Niners, really good. Brock Purdy. Hey, you got to the Super Bowl. You put up great numbers. So let's see some consistency. Let's see even more. I mean, people are pretty split on Brock Purdy, with him being a system, with him being a franchise guy. I think it's somewhere in the middle right now, and it could go either way with how San Francisco's weapons go in the future, because they could be stuck without Brandon Ayuk, but they did draft a guy in the first round, so we'll see. Brandon Ayuk may not be pissed after all. Seahawks. Geno Smith, and you got Sam Howell. Geno Smith's a solid quarterback, but last year he regressed a little bit, and Sam Howell's a good depth piece because he has potential that the Commanders couldn't see. So I'll put you in the good. You're flirting with mid, though. And then Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield. The Browns probably should have never let Baker Mayfield go. I've always been high on Baker, but Baker's pretty inconsistent. He'll put up a year where he has 26 touchdowns and 10 picks, and then he'll be 17 touchdowns and 13 picks, and then he'll have a horrible QBR. Then he'll have a good QBR, but I'll give it to the injuries there. I'll just say you got to protect the guy, and the Buccaneers are losing some pieces on the offensive line, so I'm going to put them in good. Lots of teams have a good quarterback situation. Tennessee, Will Levis, let's say it's mid. Ryan Tannehill, I think Ryan Tannehill's about. I don't know if he's there, if he's leaving soon, but Tennessee, they're banking on Will Levis, and I'm not that impressed with Will Levis, second-round pick. He's got some potential. We'll see. Mid with some potential, and then Washington. Mid, they got the second-best quarterback in the draft with Jaden Daniels. They let go of Sam Howell, so not a lot of depth behind them. So the Commanders, they're trying to lose the Dan Snyder reputation. So overall, this is the quarterback situation tier list. You got the big dogs with the franchise quarterbacks: Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati, the Joe Burrows, the Lamar Jacksons, the Patrick Mahomes, the Justin Herberts of the world. You got the guys like Green Bay and Houston who figured out their quarterback situation with CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, who just need a little bit more time to prove that they're a franchise quarterback. And then you got an array of teams that have good quarterback situations. The teams that have mid quarterbacks, or mid quarterbacks that have shown potential in the past, but just fell off a little, but have a little bit of potential. I mean, I'm not even going to comment on the Deshaun Watson, on the Jacoby Brissett's of the world. So, and then you got the bad with rookie quarterbacks that I'm not that impressed with. And then you got the Raiders, who invested nothing in the quarterback position other than the guy with the handlebar mustache and Gardner Minshew. So with that being said, that's going to do it for this video on the Toss the Mic YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. Hope you enjoyed the change of pace. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. And as always, have a great day, fellas.